Hello and Happy New Year, and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for January 2021. We're so glad you could join us in this new year, and as always, J.D. Harden here with my co-host, Mary Elizabeth Davis.
Thanks, J.D., and Happy New Year to you.
Thanks for joining us, and let's get right to it. You know, the new year brings our new Board of Education this year, and we had the opportunity to swear in 3 board members. We had Dr. Pam Nutt, Mr. Mackenzie McDaniel, and Mrs. Holly Cobb, and they took the oath of office on January 6th, and we've got a great little video to capture some of that, that celebration and that ceremony. So let's take a look.
Do you hereby solemnly swear and affirm that
It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the swearing-in ceremony.
Yes, I do.
I do.
I am confident that as a team, we will have an unwavering support of young people and belief in their ability to learn at or above grade level and have an equal opportunity to do so.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I really appreciate your support. And without your support, I would have never been able to be here. 25 years. That's amazing. I started thinking about that. But I appreciate your love, your support, and talking to me in the middle of the night when decisions were not easily made. I promise not to call you tonight because I think after today, I'll be able to go to sleep.
As a little boy growing up in DeKalb County, all I aspired to do was to serve. Being elected to this position by the citizens of the 2nd District is an honor of my young life. It's an honor undergirded by your individual and collective trust and faith in me to do what is right for your students and our district. After all, that is what the Board of Education is about. Doing what is right for our students and district, even in the face of public disparagement. I want you all to know that as a parent with children in this district, I hear you.
I just, have to say that was my dad's Bible that I had my hand on when I was just sworn in. And my dad honorably served this county on the Board of Education for a number of years as I was growing up. And he always set such a great example of integrity and honesty and faith. And that's the home I was raised in. And I have just been so determined to live that out myself in this role too.
So as you can see, we had a great celebration of our board members being sworn in and of course taking their seats for this upcoming calendar year. And also part of that event was the opportunity for our board to select their leadership for the coming year.
That's right. The election of officers is typically the way the business of the board begins. And congratulations to Mrs. Holly Cobb, who has been elected chair of the Board of Education, and Mrs. Annette Edwards, who's been elected vice chair of the Board of Education for the 2021 calendar year.
And as many of you can see, we've probably started a little bit differently with our school year. As you know, COVID-19 spread in our community has become large and sizable, much larger than when we were back during the start of our school year, where students were able to come back on campus. And due to that spread of COVID-19 in our community, we did take some responsible actions to help or ensure the safety and mitigate the spread of COVID-19 by starting our school year remote.
That's right. It was really in consultation with these incredibly reliable partners, including our Department of Public Health and our Piedmont Henry Hospital executives. Because of that partnership, we had rigorous discussion around the realities of safely facilitating school in this January season. We have pushed our on-campus return date to January 25th. That date really determined by these medical executives in partnership with us. And we look forward to that day that we can get our campuses back in motion for our families who've chosen an on-campus learning environment. In the meantime, our teachers are doing remarkable things and our students are accomplishing amazing academic feats, all while learning remotely as we start the second semester.
And Mr. Shrum, our Chief Leadership Officer, along with Dr. April Madden, our Chief Family and Student Support Services Officer, were able to update the board on some of those steps that we've taken to ensure a safe start to the second semester. And one of the things that Dr. Madden was able to share with the board was an opportunity to provide our employees who are eligible the opportunity to get access to some of the COVID-19 vaccines.
That's right. I mean, really, the availability of a vaccine in our community is absolutely some glimmer of hope as we navigate toward what we believe can be a conclusion of this pandemic. And our school nurses, as well as our clinic aides, our occupational therapists, and our physical therapists, and all of our employees over the age of 65 have been invited in this first round of the state's rollout of vaccination. We're thrilled to see our first employees beginning that voluntary vaccination period, and we were able to really lay out a plan as the next couple of weeks and months unfold. Henry County Schools has applied to be a closed point of distribution for the vaccination, with the hopes that when our state moves to the 1B segment of the rollout of the vaccination, which includes all school professionals, we will actually be able to offer that as the employer to our employees. Much to still learn in that actual body of work, but it is incredibly ambitious planning and preparation so that our employees have the choice to make their personal decision about how they may want to approach this vaccination opportunity. It really was a great moment to show the leadership of this school system in this community and the commitment of our board to our employees in this season.
We are working while realizing that a decision to participate in the COVID-19 vaccination program is a personal one, and we respect everyone's right to make their own healthcare decisions. But we also believe that preparation for and access to the vaccine are tools that will ensure and improve the well-being of our dedicated teachers and staff while they educate, support, and mentor students in Henry County schools. Board, you've worked so hard in the past 9 months to keep our schools open and operating safely for our students. And the vaccine will be one more way to keep Henry County healthy in our collective fight against the virus.
So for all of our employees out there, we just ask you to stay tuned. More information will be coming as these vaccinations and, of course, distribution plans are finalized, and we look forward to being able to provide this awesome opportunity of access to our employees as soon as possible. Now, moving from there, the planning for next school year is already underway. The 2021-2022, and trust me, that's a lot to say right there, it's already underway. And of course, our Chief Learning and Performance Officer, Melissa Morse, was able to update the board on some of the plans that center around the upcoming school year.
That's right. And I believe we've got our special host, our student advisory officers, here to share some of those updates.
I'm here talking to you today about the learning recovery guidelines that Henry County has created to help students learn the gaps that they have forgotten throughout the course of COVID-19.
As a district, we will ensure that there is 1, proactive monitoring and acceleration of reading proficiency. 2, that we address essential standards and skills gaps in ELA and mathematics. And lastly, that we will support students in high school to recover course credits that they need to graduate.
So because of the learning recovery guidelines, students that may be falling behind, that have a big substantial gap in their learning, they will have a chance to come to a summer school session. The teachers can therefore help them remember all of the gaps and help them once again, hopefully, be a good student.
And I think these were great heavy hitter points because during virtual learning, there have been a lot of kids who have struggled and who have had a hard time with staying on task or getting connected with their teachers and during the coursework. So I think with the plan that she's implying, I think this would be very helpful. I know from a student standpoint, I think this will help a lot of people. I've talked to some of my peers and some of their families and see how virtual learning affected them, and some people have been affected drastically by, and that's been reflected in their grades or in their conduct or by them just attending virtually.
there will be several new enhancements to the 3 academies of Henry County, which are Impact Academy, Academy for Advanced Studies, and Excel Academy. Impact Academy's new enhancements will be that they will have a fully blended or fully virtual option for school. As of right now, Impact is a 2-day-a-week, you're in school, 3-day-a-week, you're at home. But with this new option, they will spend 5 days a week at home.
But the other thing that's really cool about Impact Virtual is that by doing this district-wide, we have the opportunity to provide access to coursework that students may otherwise not be able to have. So maybe there's a student who wants to take AP Calculus BC at their school, and they're unable to do so because there aren't enough students to justify the teacher being allocated for that. Now that student can take that course through Henry's Impact Virtual with other students from around the district, and we have increased a student's ability to access advanced coursework or specialized coursework like French or German, things like that. So it's really important to note that while Impact Virtual is for students who have been successful and want to continue to be in a full virtual environment, it also gives us the flexibility to be able to provide coursework that has been complicated to try to do previously.
For the Academy of Advanced Studies, or AAS, it will have new courses that will involve more opportunities for students to learn a job or a career and really help them prepare themselves for what they might face down the road. Excel Academy will open its doors up to K through 5 and will also have an evening academy as well.
Incorporating these into our school would be a wonderful thing to enlighten us and to introduce us to new things, not just the basic things we've been familiar to. So I know many things at the Academy line up with people's career path, and I think these skills are needed skills so that we can operate in today's world where many things are changing. And I think as the world changes, I think our school needs to evolve with it. So I think the Academy and Impact and Excel is evolving with our world and making those changes that are need to be done to make us the future, because that's what we are. We're the future for tomorrow.
Well, in order to have a successful 21-22 school year, you have to have funds to be able to operate. And of course, Ms. Shanika Clay, our Chief Financial Officer, was able to update the board on our budget development calendar. It's a very important process in the life of the school board each and every year so that we can make sure that all of our funds, all of our revenues, but also all of our expenditures are accounted for, and we are able to balance a budget that really is student-centered, student-focused. To make sure that our students have the most exceptional education experience possible, and that also entails, supporting our teachers and all the work that they do as well.
That's right. I mean, it was clear to our Board of Education that in order to provide the most exceptional education experience, the investment has to be in the most exceptional workforce. And so a real priority of investing in that workforce and stabilizing the workforce here in our community was a top priority. But as we lay out the landscape of the FY22 budget work, we acknowledge we're operating with some uncertainties. We will learn more in the weeks ahead as the General Assembly has convened and the legislative session under the Gold Dome has started, and we will also start to see just how our local economy is panning out for our sort of journey into those summer months. So more to come, but the calendar has laid out an anticipated adoption of a tentative budget in April and the anticipated adoption of a final budget in May. There'll be public hearings associated with both of those dates, and we certainly look forward to keeping our public and our community involved and informed as we begin the FY22 budget season.
Of course, each and every month our board hears reports from various members of the executive cabinet, and through those reports, there is other work that is developed or required. And one of the reports that was shared not too long ago, and really prompted the board to look at the opportunity to develop an equity policy for our school district, and they were able to hear a little bit about that proposal the last board meeting.
That's right. It was really the Board of Education that has called for the stabilization and sort of sustainability of what has become our equity work as an organization. It really started from the voices of our community a year ago, and probably even prior to that, as we facilitated the strategic planning process. It has gotten us to the point of really defining what it means to provide students in Henry County schools opportunities, access, and really facilitating exceptional outcomes. That has now been positioned in a policy with the board's commitment to examine policies, processes, practices, and accountability in order to advance equity in each of those elements of our strong organization. That policy is now Policy IAB. It is out on our website for public review, and we would love for you to take a look and provide any reaction that may come to mind through our public comment environment. That will be shared with the Board of Education, and the board will review that policy in February with the purpose of adopting that. And it really is an amazing body of work and demonstrates this constant connection from community to boardroom to classroom. And our board is proud of leading so ambitiously.
Landing on these definitions of opportunity, access, and outcomes truly is a direct reflection of our community's voice. And I'm so grateful that our community has played really the main role in the development of our strategic plan, and now putting this into policy, I think is just, I hope that it gives them faith of our commitment to what they are calling us to do. Part of this policy, if you don't mind me reading it, says the Board of Education is committed to examining district systems, processes, programs, and accountability to advance equity through the development and design of opportunities, access, and outcomes for all schools and all students. This portfolio of policy shows that this is the work that this Board of Education has been committed to. This policy just elevates the continuation of that and our commitment to that. And I really think that this can transform the educational experience for every one of our student groups.
Of course, that really took us through the heart of our informational items for the study session and allowed us to transition into our evening business session. And that's always kicked off with some inspiration from our students. And we were so glad to have two Eagles Landing Middle School students, Jody and Kennedy, able to share with us their exceptional talents.
That's right. Our Board of Education begins the business of the board with students at the center, and it was just another evening in which their inspiration was certainly welcomed.
And then moving from there, we're always glad to be able to recognize the many talents and accomplishments of our staff and our students. And we had the opportunity to recognize a young man who was the Region 4 5A Athlete of the Year, Evan Jackson, a football player, a football star, and scholar athlete from Woodland High School. Congratulations, young man, on that wonderful accomplishment. And then, there were a few items that our board members did have to take action on that were part of the consent agenda. One of those was our eSPLOS resolution that will now go out for public consumption.
That's right. It's really been a series of 3 board meetings that our Board of Education has reviewed recommendations and anticipated proposals associated with Education SPLOS 6. And last night marked the adoption of a resolution to pursue Education SPLOS 6 and put it on a ballot for our March 16th ballot date. And now the community conversations will begin as we talk about how we together meet the needs of our students in the future. And it is a grand body of work that our Board of Education really had a lot to say about.
I thank you for your tenacity. I thank you for your vision. I thank you for really addressing the needs of the community. This may not be a 100% product. This may not satisfy everyone, but it addresses the needs of our district. And as long as we are addressing the needs of our students and making sure that they're first and making sure that their needs and that the teachers' needs are being heard of, then we are getting it right.
I want to say thank you also to all of the hard work that you've put into this. And also, like Mr. McDaniel said, want to take this opportunity to ask our community to get behind us and support us in this, because there are so many great things on this list, and I believe it will serve every segment of our population in every district.
2 other items that were approved unanimously as a part of the consent agenda include the VoIP purchase for Phase 3, which will really roll out this new phone technology to all of our schools all across the district, as well as there were 3 policies that were approved, including Policy DFK, Policy JL, and Policy BD. As always, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month. As is the case with most board meetings, there's a lot more information that you're able to witness being there in person or watching the full version on demand that we're unable to bring to you here in this very short board meeting recap. The links to those presentations and videos can be found in the description section directly below this video.